because you are a masterpiece and we're all masterpieces. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cherita and Dr. Wendy Talley at this time. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Danita, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you with us for this second conversation in the Powerful Conversations with Powerhouse Women Conversation series. All right, so we are excited to bring this series to you. This is one of the things that we're doing as part of the launch and release of the Love Letters to My Girls anthology project, where we brought over 100 Black women together to write inspiring letters to other Black women and girls. And this conversation series is serving a couple of different purposes. One is to, give you an opportunity to connect with our authors, but also to, just learn more about the book and to support the book, and to just join in with us on these conversations on topics that are relevant and important for Black women and Black girls, as we're living in these times and trying to navigate our way through this world. So what we're asking you to do is, while you may not be able to talk, definitely type your comments in, ask your questions. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of the conversation so that we can engage with you a bit. So feel free to share what you want to share in the comments in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or on Zoom. Make sure you like and share and start a watch party. Hit the hearts and the thumbs up symbol while we're going, so we can get more engagement, because Facebook likes all of that. They want to show what you're doing to other people. So help us out with that. Now, what I want to do is actually, I guess, officially introduce myself in case you don't know who I am. I'm Dr. Cherita Weatherspoon, and I am basically the person who spearheaded this project and put the call out to my sisters, some of whom I know and don't know, to help me with this project, and they responded. And the Love Letters to My Girls project is part of a larger initiative called the Ayumi Words Project, which is about inspiring, uplifting, motivating, and empowering Black and Brown communities through the power of our words, whether those words are in print, whether they're spoken, live, recorded, on stage, on film, really doesn't matter, but using our words to help bring positive impact and change to our communities. And today we have with us Dr. Wendy Talley as my illustrious co-host. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, and then I'm going to ask our panelists to share a little bit about themselves before we dive into the conversation. They're going to let you know who they are, where they're from, what they do, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation. Dr. Wendy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Weatherspoon. We appreciate you. We love you, and thank you for having me as your co-host. Oh my God, stepping out of my realm of being a therapist. Yeah! This is so exciting. Thank you everyone for joining, and definitely click like and click share. Many of you may know me, but many of you may not know me. I am Dr. Wendy Talley. I am a licensed clinical social worker and doctor of social work here in Los Angeles, California. So some of you may be chiming in other states and possibly around the world. So that's exciting. I have my own private practice here in Los Angeles, California, called the Lease Consulting Group. And we just launched our nonprofit, Hidden No More, that focuses on domestic violence in our aging couples. And so I'm just excited to talk about love in all aspects. And I'm just glad to be here for this opportunity. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and ask for the next person to speak. Go ahead, Tanya.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tanya Horn. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, but I live in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. I'm a diversity and inclusion recruitment manager for a Fortune 500 company. I bring strategies to help our company build a more diverse workforce. I have always been an advocate for people of color, specifically college students, helping them to enter college and also have access to corporations, business, and industry. So I've always been a cheerleader and advocate for them. So I'm really pleased to be a part of this project, and thank you for inviting me into this discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And so we're going to have the next person. Miss Michelle Taylor, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle Taylor. I'm pretty much from Delaware all my life. I was born in Richmond, but I was raised here in Delaware and have schooled here. And I am currently the president and CEO of United Way of Delaware. I am really passionate about helping individuals realize their full potential and a really strong advocate and champion around diversity, inclusion, and equity with a strong focus on how do we close the achievement gaps that exist for our communities, primarily Brown and Black individuals, as well as those that are in poverty that are related to education, income being wealth creation, or health. And so I have been married for 33 years, and I am looking forward to having this conversation tonight. Thank you for joining me, or for having me.
Yes, welcome. Thank you, Michelle. And our next queen that we're going to introduce is Miss Jamie Newton Knight. Did I say your name right? Miss Jamie? I don't know if she's frozen.
It looks like she's frozen. Let's just go to the next one.
Absolutely. All right. And so we're going to have the next queen. I want to say Candia Cumberbatch. I think that's how you say your full name, but correct me, queen, correct me.
Hi. You were close, Candia Cumberbatch Lucenius. I live in Delaware, originally from the Caribbean, a little island called St. Lucia. I have been a nurse for over 40 years and retiring now and reinventing myself into different things. But my focus has always been to be able to bless other women. And I've been married now for the second marriage for going on 25 years. We celebrate our anniversary in 3 months soon. We belong to a non-denominational Christian fellowship. I am first and foremost a Christian woman, and everything I do focuses around that. We have Bible studies in our home and invite whosoever will. We do Bible classes just to encourage people and build people up in the word. We're not trying to recruit people. We're just trying to get, strengthen our Black women. I am the founder and director of a group called Women of Virtue. And we have annual getaways. I try to do things just to get us to take care of ourselves. I give gifts. Let's go to a spa, do a spa day. Let's go away for the weekend at the Jersey Shore or something. We were planning a trip to St. Lucia this year, but COVID put a stop to that. So we are working on doing that next year, hopefully, God willing. I've just getting 2 businesses off the ground. One is A Touch of New Health, which is based on encouraging people to do things naturally, taking care of our bodies, so we, instead of filling our system with drugs. And I'm not negating medical world. I love being a nurse, and I love that, we have doctors and medicine to help us, but there's so much more we can do by diet and natural foods instead of
Thank you, Candia.
Thank you. We're going to move
one more
to
thing.
Jamie and let her go ahead and introduce herself so we can dive into the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Jamie, please introduce yourself to everyone and to the world.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jamie Newton Knight. I'm from Manhattan, New York. I am the owner and CEO of Blended Black Family and the cooperative co-parenting blend, where I am a co-parenting and motherhood mastery coach, helping moms in blended families and co-parenting relationships take charge of their lives, balance their families, and co-parent with ease. And I've been married now for 10 years, so this conversation is going to be good.
Yeah. All this wonderful melon, first of all, that's on the screen, all this beautifulness, I love it. And all of these wonderful things that is happening, each and every one of you got a little bit of everything. I have to contact you, and Miss Candia, I might have to ride with you on a trip, I just sit in the back. Okay. And so we have our next wonderful panelists that have joined us. Awesome. This wonderful queen, Miss Tamila Watkins. If you could please introduce yourself to the world, tell us who you are and where you're from and what you do briefly.
Hi, how are you? I am Tamila Watkins. I am from Chicago. I am a Chicago firefighter, formerly a Chicago police officer. And what I do is go around mentoring people and encouraging women, minority women, to join the fire services.
Yeah, oh, I love all of this goodness. One of you all as my friends. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, firefighter. Girl, you cute. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
So what
Thank
we're talking about tonight is on love and being loved, Black women and Black men. All right. So we're gonna really dive into what is Black love exactly? What do we mean when we say that? Why do we even need to put the word Black in front of love? And even dive into some of the challenges that we have in our relationships and how we can learn to love each other better. So men, if you're tuning in, this is not a man bashing conversation. So you are welcome. Ladies who are tuning in, remember, this is not a man bashing conversation. We love our brothers, all right? And we just want to know how to love them better, and we want to help them love us better as well. So we want to start this conversation off with this talking about the significance of Black love. So, why is that whole concept of Black love significant? Now, just, maybe two or three of you can answer. Whoever wants to answer first, go ahead and jump in.
I will say this. I had to text somebody, like one of my best friends. I'm like, why did they give me this topic? This is not easy. This is not easy for me because I just recently ended a relationship. And prior to that, my ex fiance died of cancer. So this was my first time taking a chance at it. It's scary. And I keep saying, this is like the wrong topic for me to be a part of because evidently I don't do it right, or I'm not choosing right. But the last one came from a two-parent household and had a problem with communication, anything emotionally related, because he had childhood trauma. And mind you, I have two kids and I cared for my grandfather. I cared for somebody with cancer. And I deal with helping people and, extending myself and services all the time. And this person said I cared too much. And to me, it's like, that's just me. And I even felt at times that I was accepting less than basic as what I've deserved in communication for us to be in our 40s and being emotionally intimate. So I was like, yeah, this topic is, maybe I'm gonna learn something to be better in the future, because this topic was heavy for me. Period.
Well, I'm just so glad you were transparent, you were vulnerable, and you shared that. And you know what? You are speaking to so many other women that may have had the same type of thoughts or concerns, and that's coming back out there. So I just want to honor you for sharing your time and your space, because you're going to be a voice for somebody today and those that will be listening on the replay. So I honor you right now, Queen, on that. So,
thank you.
Absolutely. So who wants to talk about what is the significance of just putting the word Black in front of love, and how do we, why and how do we identify with Black love? Anybody want to, chime in on that? I can choose somebody.
I'll chime in. I'll chime in. There's such a negative stigma around Black relationships, men and women, Black women and men not getting along. So it's such a negative connotation and stigma. And I think it's so important because we really need to change that narrative. I think that society has kind of defined what Black love is and don't see the significance. For me, Black love is so important because it strengthens our families, it strengthens our communities. And so I would love for us to really be able to have really open, transparent dialogue between men and women, so that we can, there are some challenges. We can, as Dr. Cherita said, this is not about bashing, but it really is about us having the opportunity to sit down together and to really hear each other. Sometimes we don't even relate to each other. Tamila talked about communication. There definitely is a communication gap. Men think differently than women, and we do things differently. So I really, I'm overjoyed when I see Black couples happy and thriving. I just want Black people to win. And it, as I said, it's good for the community.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? Michelle, give us your thoughts on that.
I was thinking the same thing. But first of all, I was thinking, I said to Cherita, I said, I'm not sure why I signed up for this topic, but it must have been a reason and a purpose. I said the same thing. I said, gosh, when I saw the topic. But, I think, again, as you just heard, people tend to put the stigma, or we let society define for us what Black love is. And, we hear a lot about the high percentage of single head of household families, right? And we talk about that, some of our Black men have a greater chance of being incarcerated than graduating from college. And that, when you think about the structure of the home and the man being such a dominant and important part in children's lives, right? And the lives, for us as women, and also the impact it has on community, right? Of what it has. And so, but, I think that, for me too, I think when you find it, and I've been fortunate, I say it's nothing that I did that I could think of that I think it's just by grace and mercy that, I dated my husband since high school. And, we went to the same college and graduated on a Saturday and got married on a Sunday, got married the following Saturday. Like, nobody does that stuff anymore. Like, people, I'm sure our parents probably thought we were crazy too at the time. And, but, we stuck through the good days and the bad days, and we're on the, I felt like we're constantly in the state of becoming, but on the other side now, right? Kids out of the house, life's a little different, and empty nesters, and, and so, but we have to nurture it. And I think as women, myself included, we have to be intentional about it. I used to tell my husband, wherever you go, I'm going. So, we have to, be intentional about growing together, and making up your mind, right, that you're going to make this work if it's meant to work, right? Once you're in it, particularly once you're married. And lastly, I would just say, when you think about it, we as women too in the relationship, particularly the A-type personalities, and that's probably some of them on the phone with me, right? We have to, had to learn to be able to say that word submission, and that we're not always the head of the household. And how do we let our men be men? And how do we allow our men to lead? And, I had to go through a season of that. And I'd like to tell people all the time that said, I might be the CEO of United Way, but at my house, my husband's the CEO of 106. And so, so he's not watching this. But seriously though, it really does, you have to be intentional. And on some days for me, I got to tell you, ladies, that I'm someone who has to make decisions all the time. It really feels good for me not to have to make decisions.
Yeah.
Like, that I have a place that has a covering, that I don't have to do that. And so it allows me to be me and stay true to who I am.
I'm so glad you said that, because many of you are talking about, I'm hearing freedom. Love means freedom. Love means without stigma. Love means, what does, in between a man and a woman and what they say to one another. There's so many different meanings of just love. So we talked about just the idea of Black love, and understanding that we have to eliminate that stigma and bring that level of communication. But let's go broader. Let's go a little bit global right now, and look at just love, right? I want you all to breathe that in for a moment. What does love mean? And speak of it, whether if you want to speak it from a personal and and very briefly, or you want to speak on it, from a professional level, but speak on that. And I want to jump right into Jamie. Jamie, go and talk to me about what is your definition, or what do you think love means?
Love to me is just a genuine connection between people. And that's why in relationships, it doesn't have to be a relationship of husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. Just love. I love my friends. I have really close friends who are like sisters to me, and some closer. So I love them. So when I think about love, those are the things I think about: just genuine, authentic, and a deep connection between two people, or people in general. So, and it's something that you can see too. It's not just something that you feel within, it's something that you show outwardly, so other people know it as well. Like right now, we're living in a world with so much heaviness going on around us. If people put out more of that love, I feel like we'd be a much happier place.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Candida,
Thank you.
share with us your experience, or your global view of love. Can she hear me? Candia?
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't I didn't realize you said my name because it breaks up in spots when people are talking, so it's not like a smooth. But anyway, I agree with what's that, Jamie? That there's so many different kinds of love. I basically say that God is love, and because God loves us, we love back. And I remember talking to a friend of mine recently, and she said, she said something along the lines that God made love for people that love Him. So usually you find in relationships that people do not have God in the center, there's always a breakdown. All relationships will have issues, but usually we can bring it back a little closer with the love of God. And I think I agree again with what tagging of what Jamie said. If we can love one another, not just husband and wife, but if we can love one another as God loved us, and forgive one another as God forgives us, looking at it in a broader sense, in a global sense, we can bring the world together with just that little word love, and showing it in how we relate to one another, the kindness, the reaching out. Somebody needs something, you in the grocery store, somebody may be grumbling at you. I was at the checkout, and the cashier was not very happy, and she was snapping, and I just said to her, "How are you doing today?" And she broke down crying. She was having a bad day, and she thought nobody cared. And just saying that just helped her realize, okay, at least somebody's paying attention to the fact that I'm not happy. Little things like that show that we love, and we don't have, it doesn't necessarily have to mean you love them in the sense that you want them in your circle, but you kind of love them as another human being, and that you will be kind to them. You will help them if they're falling. If the packages are dropping out of the car, you help them pick it up. If the little kid is crying and her hands are full and she cannot hold the bag, hold the child, she may not trust you to hold her child, but you can hold the bag for her. Little things like that, I think in a general sense is what
Yes.
I would call real love, true love.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And lastly, just try to bring that in, Tamila, your global view of what does love mean?
Um, like the Bible says about love, it's definitely kind. It definitely does not keep score. I know with love, you do have to be patient, and it takes a lot of, you have to forgive. When the Bible says 70 times 70 and forgiving people when you love them, that is so true. You have to forgive, you have to grow. Love is ongoing and it's growing, and sometimes it's painful, but ultimately you're learning and it's beautiful.
That's so wonderful. I just, I love what you're sharing. And many of you are very much aware of the author, the poet, the advocate person of just civil rights is Maya Angelou. And she has this beautiful quote about love. And she talks about, and this brings us into the next question. She says, love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles. It leaps fences. It penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. I don't know about y'all, but that touched my Holy Spirit. I'm about to start speaking in tongues in a minute. But that right there, I'm a little bit of a goofball. But that right there just summarized everything that you all just talked about. And she really hit it, the nail on the head. And so we need to understand how to even show it. How do we should and how do we show love? How do you do that? How do you do that, Michelle?
Sorry, I keep taking myself off. I mean, I think, you know, it was the same thing that was just said. I was just going to say, we got to walk it out, right? And so if you really say that love doesn't keep track of right or wrong, like to me, the one word for love that sticks in my mind always is just unconditional. And that means, right, and part of it is don't keep track of right and wrong. And I don't love you because you love me, right? I love you because of God. And some days that's hard to be able to do, right? And so it's that, again, it's that intentionality piece of it that said, I'm gonna take the high road. I'm gonna show you love, regardless of what you're showing me back, right? And on most days, I think all of us, if we were honest with ourselves, we can do it, we can live it. But when you go through something, right? When somebody does something to you, you know, you might have to walk that thing out for a minute to be able to make sure that it happens. But it's not what we say, it's what we do. It's how we interact with people. I think I heard someone say this earlier, that if we just really showed love, we would be in a different spot. I was telling someone today, I really believe in this kumbaya, like, you know, like living united. Why can't we all just kind of get along? And but it's more of our actions. And something I just got to say, and I'm going to start talking. My sister and I have this saying all the time. You know, we say, like, people say, I love you more. You know, she's always saying, you know, I'll kill a bear for you. And I love you so much, I'll kill a bear for you. So that's my thing back to this group, right? That said, I'll go to the end of the earth just because.
Absolutely. And Tanya, I want you to speak on that. How do we show love, especially to our men? How do we show love?
You know, I think, as I said before, men and women, we're really different in terms of how we relate to each other, communicate and things of that nature. And we're different in terms of how we love each other, but not to generalize. I think some people want certain things. So I think about the 5 love languages. And so that really tells you that certain people want certain things. So I'm one of those persons that I don't want to hear about it. I want you to show me. And so I think it's really important to really know the person. If you're in a relationship, know what their love language is, what is important to them, because what I might need or want, he might need or want something different. I think we just, it's so important to, you know, unconditional is very important. Just going, I think, to fight for love is so important. And sometimes we don't do that as a couple. We give up easily, especially, you know, this country, we have a high percentage rate of divorce. And so people kind of go into marriages not with the right intention. And, you know, they say their vows, but I don't know if people really believe their vows and walk their vows. And I think that's important. But in all, I think it's so important to discuss and communicate what love means to you and what makes you feel that you're being loved. What does someone do to help you feel like you're being loved?
I want to jump in here because I love this conversation, and we're talking about love languages. I think we take that one step deeper, and we think about how people love and whether or not how someone loves you is acceptable to you, and vice versa. Because it's not that anything might be wrong with how they love. It may not even be a matter of love languages, but you know, in terms of that demonstration on a daily basis, and, you know, how do I respond to you when I'm angry and, you know, I'm disappointed, and, you know, am I obsessive, you know, like those kinds of things, and really diving into how that love is communicated and demonstrated on a daily basis, and especially in times of stress and distress within your relationship, because you can love someone and hate how they love you.
Right. You know,
Right?
yeah. One of the things that I often say when I'm dating, if I don't feel good about how he loves me, it's not going to work. Because I got to feel good. He has to show me that I am number one. And if I don't feel good about how he does that, it's just not going to be a good relationship. And I don't stay around for that.
Right. And it's in reverse too. So it's not just, you know, for us as women and, well, how does he love me? But men should be thinking about the same thing. And really, what are your needs? What is it that you need to feel built up and encouraged, and like you matter in the relationship? And if that person isn't able to offer that to you in the way that you need it, and you really need to find that out before you say I do, then you have to make some different decisions about, you know, how you're going to proceed in your relationship, because at some point there's going to come a breaking point, because your emotional and your spiritual needs are not being met, because you're not being loved the way you need to be loved.
And you know, let's continue that conversation about, you know, really understanding how men love as well, you know, and really understand, do we even pay attention in the dating process? That's why we have to date a little. We have to date a little bit longer. We got to take that time. And if you're not seeing that person through all 4 seasons, well, California usually don't have seasons. We just here. So Delaware, help us out. Okay. Seasons. We still in shorts. So, you know, but we got to understand, you know, are you paying attention? You know, do you even understand how they love? Do you hear how they want to be loved? Because a lot of times, you know, like we have said before, we learn communication differently. We learn how to love differently. And if we're not learning from the same space, we're speaking totally 2 different languages. And so, you know, we really got to understand those 5 love languages is so important. And so I want to ask, you know, the next question, you know, for you all to answer is, how has our experience as a culture, right, okay, impacted our ability to even love well? Because right now, the way that we are loving each other does not, like Tanya said, it doesn't feel good and it doesn't look good, okay? And so we need to really talk. Let's go real deep dive into the pool. How has it impacted the way that we love well? Who would like to open up with that?
Oh shucks, I'm so sorry. I'll speak on that. I'm just gonna say, not only is it about us loving the way we love, learning to love. Sometimes we can do all that, but sometimes they can't receive that. And sometimes it's hard to receive it if you get to, like, say, your 40s and you have childhood issues that you never resolve. I mean, to have someone in their 40s say, I care too much, what does that mean? Because when we get to a certain age and we've properly healed, that's what we want, somebody to care for us, to care about our well-being, our physical being, our spiritual, mental. That's what we want, somebody to care about every aspect of our life. And some people, that is like it's like a bad thing. Oh my God, you care too much. It's not that I care too much. This is new. This is foreign to you, and you don't know how to receive it. And it's scary. And it's like, is this person too good to be true? Or this person trying to reel me in to care, even though I've shut off emotion? Are they trying to get me to care to hurt me? Is that gonna, you know, trigger me, to make me think about childhood hurts and pains that I never dealt with? So it's sometimes people don't know how to receive it. And that's the issue.
Yes.
I was going to say that I think, right, during COVID, I'll just take COVID and even the racial, the civil unrest, to some degree, I think has pulled us closer.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone's for their household, right? So we had to be, closed in together more with our family members, right? And your husbands. For me, I know I probably cooked more in the last 8 months than I cooked in the last 35 years, right? That I can remember, right? Like seriously, like a kitchen, like I would be one of those people in the refrigerator said, what's a kitchen? But so it allowed me, right, to be more attentive, to figure out like what it is that we need. We played so many games of Skippo together and so many board games and conversations. The racial, the murder of George Floyd, I think sparked so many conversations. I have 2 sons. And so from their perspectives and Black males, I watched a video again this morning, right, that, almost had me in tears just as a mother, just to think through, right, what my sons may be going through or what my husband could go through or what circumstances or even us as Black women. But it is allowed, I think, to have more honest conversations, safe spaces to talk about things. We don't agree always on the positions, right? So it allowed for some strong debates and people's diverging views, but it's allowed and created space that I don't think would have been created before if it wasn't for this. And then my other point, I just wanted to make sure that I talked about the seasons, right, of the love language. It changes as we change. So, for me, I got married like literally like at 21. So, who I was at 21 versus who I'm in my 50s, something, right? Now it's 2 different things. And you go through these seasons of no kids to crazy kids to kids out the house to taking in-laws. My husband, gracious enough to have a heart, he says heart that says his in-laws live with him, right? My parents live with us. And all of that, right? You have to be able to go through different seasons and together. And so you have to find your new rhythm all over again. And I think, as my husband and I said, for us, someone's the good cop, bad cop. Like you figure out your strengths, you figure out what he's good at and what his needs are, and also talk about what my needs are, right? And they've changed over time. And I know I've generally been like always, and at times I always say, well, I have to be the bad cop all the time. Well, you get to be the good cop, right? The kids, he get to do all the fun stuff, right? But it's the conversations that need to happen. And so just know that there is a season, not just the 4 seasons. If you're in this for the long haul, there are numerous seasons that change with this. And as I said, just through the civil unrest, I think it allowed for more safe space to talk about things at a deeper level than maybe we would have.
And on the flip side of what Michelle said, you also have
Tamila, I really want to give somebody else another opportunity.
okay.
Really quickly. Jamie has been so patient. Go ahead, Miss Jamie, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you. I was just gonna go to what Tamila said, which was about meeting someone who may not have been ready or, ready to receive. And then going back to what Dr. Wendy said about just learning how to date. And so that being an important piece of the before, right? And I didn't think about, so I had been in a relationship for many years. I have children. And then I went through this point of, okay, now I'm single and what do I do? I didn't want to date. I was like, I don't want to do that again. But it was important to date and take the time to date to, see what was out there, but also to see what I liked. And I took a hiatus for years of like, just finding out who Jamie was and what Jamie wanted. And once I was crystal clear on that, when I met people, there was no, this is what I'm looking for. And, you understand a little bit better, like the things that you want. So you would have, you may be able to weed that out earlier rather than later. Whereas, this person is like, you care too much. Some people just aren't ready for that, I guess, that step. So then at that point, you're like, okay, I need to find somebody that is ready because this is what I'm looking for. And this is, you want to be loved, just like she said, the way that you're giving love out. And so I think it's important to take that time for yourself to one, just be out there, single and dating, know what you want for yourself. And then when you do meet somebody, when I met my husband, I wasn't not looking for anyone. I was just like, wow, okay, so God, this is what you're sending me. But it was because I waited, I prayed, I was like, I don't want just any old body. I already have children. And so I need someone who got themselves together. And just as Michelle said, we are growing as the years are passing. Even when we got married 10 years ago, I am not the Jamie I was 10 years ago. The things that I want now are very different. But as Tanya said, knowing our love languages, I was trying to love my husband the way I wanted to be loved. And he's like, yeah, that's nice that like, I like to be shown that you love and appreciate me. He likes to be told. So I had to learn that, but it took some time. And so all of these things are just, you just have to be willing to wait out that process and not, just go, you know what? My mama's single, so my auntie's single, so it's fine for me to be single too. Like, we have families, where we are comfortable like that. And I feel like that's one part of the community where it's like, no, let's push for more marriages. Let's push for us to keep our marriages together. As a community, let's try to hover around everybody and keep y'all together. So that's what I wanted to say regarding that.
Thank you. Miss Candia, you want to jump right on in? Definitely want to hear from you, Queen.
Yes, and I was listening because I wanted to hear somebody say something like what what's her name that just spoke a second ago?
Jamie?
I wanted to hear that piece about what our husbands need as well. We talk about how we wanted to be loved, what we want. But the thing is, and I want to go back, this is a generational thing. Boys historically are not taught how to love, what to expect in a wife. They grow up and have to figure it out. They make a lot of mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes. That was one of my main reasons for getting the women of virtue together, because I felt they were having so many breakdowns in relationships. And one of the things I told them when we started 11 years ago was that I feel like if we build up our women, we will build up our men. We will build up our boys, and they will grow up to be better husbands, better fathers, better lovers, and we'll have a lot less single families, single parent families, mostly mothers. We do have a few single with fathers, but mostly mothers, because unlike a few of you have already shared, as when we started, the way men love and the way women love, like from the east is from the west, it's like totally different. So we have to get that understanding. We know what we're looking for. And yes, we can put it out there that this is what I want, this is what I want, but we need to like be a little less selfish, I think, and a little more compromising. Because if you're going to go into a relationship with somebody that you say you love and the person loves you, we have to be able to work together. And it's not a 50-50, it's a 100-100. You give 100, I give 100, like the Bible tells us in First Peter. The woman is subject to the husband, but not in a submissive way that he dominates her. It's in the sense that Christ is the head, then the husband, and then the wife, but we are working it together. It's a threefold cord. So we kind of have to give each other that love and work with him. He works with me, and not say, okay, he's not loving me like I want, and move on. Communicate is a huge, huge key.
Absolutely. Are there any questions in the chat that's coming through, Danita, through the social media channels? Anybody asking any questions really quickly? Because this is getting juicy. Okay, so if there's anything coming in, definitely let us know. I want to continue this, and Tamila, I want you to jump in on this, on the love, okay, and how do we love, and how it impacts us culturally. you know, we want to continue this. I mean, give us your perspective as a culture, you know, because we're not loving each other well. And so we need to be able to discuss that and talk about some solutions.
Hi, ladies. I'm back. Let me just.
Mark.
I've been busy in the chat. We don't have any questions, but a whole lot of comments. A lot of people are weighing in and agreeing with a lot of what's been talked about. I'll just read some of the comments really quickly. So we had Tamika Thomas say, "It's our flaws that perfect us." I thought that was really good. We had Rochelle Peterson and Sari on Facebook say, yes, having my partner to make decisions is breathing room. I think she could relate to what Michelle was talking about, not having to make the decisions all the time, especially if you're one of those women that have to consistently make big decisions on a job. Also, Deneen, Jesus Loves Me Mosley on Facebook said, love has many levels: eros, agape, philia, storage, etc. So it's very important to note that as well. Many people chimed in on the love languages and how it's so important to speak your need to your spouse or partner, and for that person to also speak that need to you to make sure that you're being loved appropriately. Deneen also said, also understanding that men are visionary. They are motivated by what they see and hear, so their significant other needs to be encouraging with how they speak and present themselves physically. Thought that was really good as well. Anitra Green shared that, I remember someone telling me the root word of date is data. We should be gathering information about ourselves and the person we are dating. I see y'all amen and high-fiving because this is so true.
Absolutely. This is good stuff. That's right. You put an A at the end of that and get some information, get some assessments and some data.
Yes. Rael Sims shared that, yes, let's push for more Black marriages in the community. Because I believe somebody said Black love strengthens our families and our communities. Somebody on the panel shared that. Garcia said relationships are not, she agreed with Candia, said, yes, relationships are not 50-50, they are 100-100. And then she says, how do you love yourself enough? Okay, she has a question. How do you love yourself enough to walk away? What about when you have children and they are involved? Does anybody on the panel want to check with that? Okay.
All right. So I think it's a big question to ask. You know, how do you love yourself enough to walk away? The thing is that, like, you have to already love yourself enough to walk away, right? And if you don't see yourself as being valuable outside of that relationship as a single individual person, it will be very difficult for you to leave that relationship or that situation, which goes back to knowing who you are before you get into the relationship, knowing what you want, knowing what you're willing to deal with, you know, because intimate love is not always romantic. It's not always sweet. It's not always lovey-dovey and cuddling and all of that. You are going to go through some stuff, and you've got to be one, willing to go through it, but also recognizing what your limitations are and kind of being honest with that person about it. So if you come in as a whole person, a whole fulfilled person individually, then when things are not working, and I am not an advocate of divorce, especially for, you know, just like we ain't getting along, you know, like things that you really could work on. But if it's not working and you need to leave, you are already empowered to do so because you came in whole. And then in terms of your children, I was kind of brought up to believe that you stay married for the children. Now that I have children, I have 4 children, and I've been married 20 3 years, to be 24 in December. I don't believe that, right? I think that our children need to see healthy, whole, fruitful relationships. And if you can't demonstrate that, then like don't stay married for the children. You are doing them a bigger disservice by staying in a relationship or a marriage that you don't want to be in, that your partner doesn't want to be in, and allowing them to see dysfunction that they are then going to carry into their own relationships.
Garcia said, yes, that's good. Garcia chimed in the chat, said, yes, that's good. We had a comment from Alexa on Zoom regarding showing love. As a person who hates waste of any kind, what a waste to pour heartfelt time, thought, energy, and money into plans and actions that are only missing the target and leaving your loved one feeling disappointed and unloved. Both parties are disappointed, and that's the breaking point. How do you handle the disappointment? That's when you have to be vulnerable, pull up your big girl panties and boxers, well, your big girl panties and your big boy boxers, and say truthfully and lovingly how you feel. When a team stops communicating, they become the enemy. That was really good.
That is good.
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. So, this is such a juicy conversation, and we can go all night, right, on this, because we can go in so many different directions. But let's give the audience, let's give those that will be watching this later, how can we as a community learn to love? How can Black men and Black women begin to love one another? Very briefly, just try to do like maybe 30 to 60 seconds.
I think we have to first be willing to listen to each other, because just like we said, although I have this idea of what I think love should look like, that doesn't mean that my husband has that same idea. And when we got married, we both come from families where our moms are not married. And so I told him, I'm like, we weren't given the blueprint. And I want this to work. Like, I didn't get married to get divorced. And so we're going to have to figure this out. So we invested in a marriage boot camp. To me, it's just like, listen and do the work. Listen, that's like, and keep God first. For me, that's like really important. So that's my 60 cents. I'm not going to, I know there's a lot of ladies.
Thank you. No, I love that. Hashtag listen and do the work. Hashtag listen and do the work. Absolutely. Michelle, go ahead and give.
Actually, that's exactly, I was trying to think through, like, she took exactly what I was going to be able to say as we think about what we can do. And the only other piece I would say in here, that means we got to be willing to be vulnerable, and we got to be willing to let any egos go, right? And that pride piece gets in the way every time. And so you got to be able to come in with those things, right? Willing to put those things, get those out of the room to be able to start with, bring the vulnerability, but keep the pride and the ego, because if you let that stuff in your head, it'll stop you from, it stops us, right? From being able really to be able to love each other and to be able to listen. You never get to listening as long as pride is in the way.
Love that. Yes, absolutely. Candia, give us your 30 to 60 seconds on how can we as a community love?
I agree with everybody about that communication and keeping God first. That, to me, that's the two biggest things that we can do. I think that we need to start training our young people. And so I'm so happy, thankful, excited that Dr. Cherita is doing this. We need to start training our young people, both boys and girls, so that they can grow up with that mindset. A lot of people get into marriages thinking, if it doesn't work, I'll just walk away. But we need to train them how to deal with these situations, how to communicate. So now that we're learning, and I'm so blessed and honored to be part of this group of women here who have that same mindset of living your life for God and working it in your marriage and talking and communicating and teaching it to your kids, your girls and your boys, so that the next generation does better.
That's beautiful. Tanya.
I was gonna add, we need to surround ourselves with good examples. So if you see couples that are strong, we need to surround ourselves with those type of people and ask questions and be vulnerable, and kind of block out the negative people, the naysayers, the people who have advice that's probably not going to be the advice that you need to hear. There are so many examples out there in church. I don't know if you guys have seen that show on OWN called Black Love. That's a perfect, a great show to kind of listen to the ups and downs of relationships. We go through that, and they don't quit. And so we need to see more of that in our community.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that each and every one of you were able to chime in. It looked like we lost one of our panelists. Hope everything is well. But, I want to be able to say the same thing too, is that the community, we need to, oh, she's back. Tamila, she's coming back on in, but we all as a community just need to be forgiving of one another and allowing each other to have a space of no judgment and a safe space to feel. No judgment and safe space to feel. If we can do that as a community, we can begin to be more accepting. And Tamila, bring us home on your advice to everyone that's listening now. How the community learn to love?
Well, the Black community is faced with all types of trauma and post-traumatic stress incidents, and I would say healing. In order to receive love and give love, you need to heal. You need to heal from whatever's blocking you, whatever's hurting you. Just, we all have a story of some type of pain or trauma, but we need to heal from it so we can receive it and we can give it.
High five on that.
Absolutely. I mean, she put the nail on the head. That was the crown. She made the crooked ways right on that crown. Right. She brought that sucker on in. That's what I love. It. Go on, Queen. This has been a very eye-opening conversation. I know there are more comments that are in the chat. Let's look at the time. Can we have a couple of more? Is a couple of more that we can be able to just hear really quickly? Do you have any more comments in the chat? No? Okay. Well, ladies, thank you so much for this great opportunity. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Weatherspoon so she can go ahead and bless this and send us on out.
All right. Yes, a wonderful conversation. Thank you to our co-hosts and our panelists this evening for taking time out of their schedule to join us. And thank you to all of you for tuning into this live conversation. And even if you're watching the replay, we want to thank you for that.